Welcome to the video to discuss how to reference in your assignments. These videos are broken up into two different sections, the in-text referencing and the reference list on how to construct them. This video will start on how basic academic skills and what should be done during your assignments and how to work on each of them. So let's get started. So the academic skills that you must always follow with your assignments is you never use non-academic sources. You've got to use your peer-accredited journals. You've got to use really good constructive sources. If you don't, then we could question you about your credibility of the assignment. So always be careful with that. Always write in a formal manner. Never use slang. And if you need to practice your English or you need assistance with your English, identify where you can get the help from. Always use correct referencing. Don't forget you need in-text referencing as well as your reference list, and they need to match. When you are answering your assignment, it's always important to look at the question. What is the action verb actually asking you to do? If you are struggling, always ask for assistance. You cannot come after an assignment and say, well, I didn't know to do that, or something like this, or I didn't know there was assistance. There is always assistance for you. Take advantage of it. Always use good note-taking skills and study skills, especially when you're compiling your assignment from the internet. Make sure that you know where that information came from and that you can give credit to each of them. Okay, so when do we use a source, or when do we cite? You're going to cite whenever you use any kind of information from another source, either if you're directly quoting or you're using your own words. You have to tell us where that information has come from. If you use an image or a diagram from a book, a website, or your textbook, you have to cite that source. Now, if you are using some of the information and then developing, let's say you're using a graph, or you're developing a graph and you're using some facts and figures from your textbook and then you're adding your own, then you still have to tell us where the original facts and figures came from. So it's very important. Another area that students struggle with is they put an image on their front page or on their cover page of their assignment. You still have to reference that in text, so underneath the picture, and you have to do your reference list. So how do we actually construct all of these? So the basics of referencing. Must always be two. You must have your in-text citation and your reference list, and these must match. The in-text citation must be at the end of the information you have used, not at the end of a paragraph. And I'll show you the difference now, but please keep that in mind. Okay, as we go into this slide, this is an example of a typical paragraph, and I've color-coded it just to show the different references. Obviously, in your assignment, you will not color-code your information. But you can see the first reference here, according to Notta. Now everything written in green that I'm highlighting now comes from the Notta source. I've paraphrased, so it's in my own wording, but it comes from that source. If we look at the red, again, I have paraphrased. And so I've put it in my own words, but the information comes from the Department of Higher Education and Training. And because my reference is there as the marker or the tutor, I know that that sentence comes from that source. Then again in the blue, Bush develops leadership styles. Again, everything in blue comes from the source that was written by Bush. Then everything in yellow, because there is no reference here, then I, as the marker, know that the yellow part is the student's point of view. They are explaining the information that they have given. So what we do, wherever the source is, that sentence or those couple of sentences are from that source. If I put, and this is what I was saying, but don't put it at the end of a sentence. If I put Notta here, then what it's saying, if I put Notta here at the end of the paragraph, and for argument's sake, all these were taken out, this Bush, Department of Higher Education, and Notta, as a marker, I cannot see which part of this paragraph is from Nota, which part of this paragraph is from the student, and which part of this paragraph might be from another source. And that's why you very, very seldom put a reference at the end of a paragraph. So the question I always get is, well, we only use one source per paragraph. And that's no problem. But at somewhere in your paragraph, you should have explained the information that you have put in, or given a point of view, or just prove that you understand the information. Before you put that sentence in, or those couple of sentences, the reference should be before that to tell me that all the information before that reference is from that reference, and all the information after that reference is the student's opinion or the student's explanation of the information. So that's very important. Okay, going on to, now I'm only going to show you three main sources on how to actually construct the assignment, how to construct the references. The reason for this is it's all constructed in the same manner. The same information is needed no matter what sources you're using. And as you know, you have a referencing guide that was given to you and that you can download from the library that shows you step by step how every single source must be done. For me to explain how every single source needs to be referenced, we could be here for hours. So this is a much better way of doing it. Okay, so as I go down, and before we start the actual in-text citation, there's a couple of terms that we use in referencing. So paraphrasing is when you take the main idea from something, from a source, but you use your own words. And the most effective way to do this is to read your source, take down the keywords, write down just the keywords of the main idea of your source. Keep mark of where that information comes from, then close your book or your notebook or whatever it is and walk away. If possible, come back a couple of days later, but if really not possible, if it's been left to the last minute, then you can go watch a series or something, just so that you, in essence, clear your brain of those sentences. Then come back, open your workbook and rewrite your paragraphs from those keywords. That is truly your own words, because all you are doing is explaining those keywords. And if you are able to explain something in your own words, then you truly understand it. A direct quote is when we use information or a sentence word for word using quotation marks. Please remember it needs to be word for word. The next one is part of the sentence. This means when you're writing sentences such as according to Daniel, or it was estimated by so-and-so, or it was summarized by so-and-so, anything like that, but it's where the author's name is part of the sentence and not within the brackets, and just the year is in the brackets. When we say something is not part of the sentence, that is when we paraphrase the entire sentence and then we put the entire reference at the end of that sentence. So what is the process of paraphrasing? So you'll see here is just an original passage that I pulled off the internet. How to do it? You look at the original paragraph, identify the main points of it, write down all the main points in your keywords like I said, leave the work, come back and rewrite it. So you can see the two differences between the original paragraph here and what the paraphrased paragraph could actually look like. So what it tells me is the student understands the work because they're able to put it in their own words. Please also remember that paraphrasing does not necessarily mean smaller. Some paraphrased paragraphs are a lot larger than the original paragraph. Depends how much you need to work on it. Okay, so then let's move into the in-text citation structure. And then the next video will be the referencing structure. So the golden rule of referencing for in-text, it does not matter what source you look at, the certain information always needs to be included. If you are paraphrasing information, you need to include the two wobblies, which is the who and the when. Who, the author's surname, and what year or when did they write the information. If you are doing a direct quote, you use the three wobblies, which is the who, the when, and the which. So the author's surname, the year it was written in, and what is the page number that I can find that information in. Think about it. If you are going to be using a direct quote and the tutor wants to make sure that you've used the exact words, they need to find the page. When you are paraphrasing, you may paraphrase over 15 pages, but all you want the tutor to know is the main idea. So, how would it actually look like? If it is paraphrasing, you can see this top example here. This has been put into your own words. Then we have the author's surname and the year that it was written in. The in-text direct quote is put into the quotation marks, and I've now included my page numbers. Okay. So this would be the structure no matter what. If you are looking at a website, if you are looking at a journal, if you are looking at a book. Nowhere in text do you include any other information except for the author's surname or the year. So you don't include the URLs, you don't include the titles of anything, just the author's surname and the year, and a direct quote is the page number. The reference list is where we will get the information of the URLs. If you have a situation where there is no author, then let's say on a website, let's say Microsoft, a lot of Microsoft articles are written by Microsoft, then what you are going to do in that situation is the author is then Microsoft 2016. So make sure you know the differences between them. Okay. Now when you are using a website, many times the year is, so an article has been written, but there isn't actually a year under the article. What we need to do then is when you go onto a website or you're using a website, scroll down to the bottom of the website and you'll see here Microsoft 2018. That was the last time the website was uploaded or upgraded or new information was added. So if that's the case, then on your assignments, that is the year that you are going to use. Think about it, it's the same as a book. That is the year that the book was published or the website was published. So here would be Microsoft 2018. Right, that is all the information for the in-text referencing. You'll see on the next video down, we are starting to look at the reference list, which when you are ready to move on to the reference list, you can start. So when you are ready to look at the reference list, click onto the next video and go through how we actually pull it into the complete reference list at the end of your assignment.